So this story begins with heartbreak. It began when I let myself feel how deeply grieved I was by what was happening to the forests of the world and to the indigenous people who have taken care of them. And I let myself feel that so deeply, and it was very intense. And right at the center of that, there was a surprise, and that surprise was that at the center of that grief was this incredible, tender love. And so the whole experience ended up being really bittersweet to just let myself feel that. And I didn't know what to do about what was happening. And so I asked myself, I don't want to fight. I don't know who to fight, I don't know what to fight. What would love do? And I started to look around to see what love would tell me to do. And the first thing it told me to do was to go to a panel discussion at the Writers' Conference last year here in Ubud on the Indonesian forests. And at that panel discussion, a man named Rui was there. And he didn't talk about strategies and statistics and stakeholders. He talked about his adopted family in Warattai, Borneo, and that their ancestral forest was being bulldozed for palm oil, illegally bulldozed for palm oil. And he spoke from the heart, and he spoke with such a depth of gratitude and love and sorrow that it went straight into my heart. And I contacted him after the conference, and we met. And when we met, it didn't take long, maybe 15 minutes, and we recognized in each other the same deep heartbreak that we had gone just as deep inside of our grief and found the love at the center of it. And in that moment, when I saw that in his eyes, I just said, let's go to Borneo. And he said, okay. And so we went to Borneo. And when I got to Borneo, I met his friends, Lion and Aswi, and we stayed at their house. And I was in for a really big surprise, a similar one to the one I had with the grief, which was they were not grieving. These people were having their forests mowed down around them, and what they were doing was singing. Lion was in the kitchen, and she was cooking, and she was singing the most beautiful melodies, and there was this incredible sense of peace in her house. And I'm like, what is going on here? This doesn't make any sense. This is one of the calmest houses I've ever been in. I mean, why aren't you puddles on the floor? I almost am. And so I asked Aswi, I said, well, how do you do this? And he said, this comes from, our resilience around this comes from our ancient stories, which we're still very connected to and that we connect to in ceremony. And these stories say that humans were put on the earth with a purpose, and that purpose was to keep the earth in balance. And our tribe, at the beginning of time, was given the assignment to take care of this particular forest. And we've been doing it ever since. And over the time, the stories tell us that over the millennia that we've been caring for the earth goes through cycles of creation and destruction. And during the cycles of creation, we nurture life and we help it grow. And during the cycles of destruction, we save everything we can so that when that cycle's over, the next people that come will have an easier time replanting and bringing things back. He says, I was born during a cycle of destruction. I'm just doing my job. And this incredible sense of purpose that he had was creating this incredible atmosphere in his house. And so he showed us the forest. He showed us the forest that he loved so much and everything he loved about it. And he could look so deeply into these plants. He could see in a little blade of grass that if you bunch that blade of grass up, you can make a poultice out of it. And that poultice would take care of your itch from mosquito bite. He could see into every plant. And so we sat around his longhouse table one night and we said, well, so what happens now? The forest is almost gone. And what we said was, the elders, what he told us was that the elders all said that what had to happen now was a ceremony. And it's a ceremony that they only do when the survival of the tribe is threatened. In the past, it's actually prevented wars. And what happens as a ceremony is that everyone comes back into the big picture that I just talked about. And then they center into that space, into the remembering of what they're here for. And from there, they make a kind of confession before the highest ancestors. And they tell the story of how they've contributed to the destruction and how they've contributed to life. And they come clean and come back into alignment. And then when everyone's done that together, they all make a vow, they renew their vow to take care of the earth, to take care of the forest, and to take care of the people. And so this was all a great idea, except the only problem is the tradition says they have to invite everybody concerned. And everybody concerned at this point was 5 villages, a couple of companies, government officials. They didn't have the resources to do that. And yet that was what the elders said was necessary. And in that moment I said, well, those aren't the only people concerned. You guys are taking care of our lungs. This is the rainforest. These are the lungs of the earth, and you've been taking care of it for us forever. So I said, the whole world needs to be invited. And they agreed. And then I had this crazy idea, which was to launch an Indiegogo campaign to raise the funds for this ancient ceremony. And they loved it. And so we did it. We launched this Indiegogo campaign, and you can contribute, and you can be a part of this, and create a circle so that in your area, we will be bringing back stories through the internet, and you can learn from the Diet people. They're going to share their ceremony with us. And this is where you go to donate. Thank you.
How's the campaign going so far? How much have you raised?
We have raised, we're about at 50% as of this morning, and we have 17 days to go. This is a very unusual thing to raise money for, and it's actually pretty exciting. The people that come forward and understand it, they come forward with a lot of enthusiasm, and there's a lot of love passing around amongst all of us, and a lot of connection. It's really about creating a personal connection between the people who are using the resources and really don't want to be doing this. We don't want to use a smartphone and have the result be that this village disappears. And so it's making a connection between them, a personal connection between us and the people who are on the front lines. Yeah. Thank you.